Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and with the Cracker Factory back in the black, we welcome back Sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet.
Ah, thanks. That must have been a mouthful.
And he would be king on the island of misfit toys, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and guess how many times I watched this movie?
Ooh. I'm going to say it better be at least once. Otherwise, we know what your grade is ahead of time.
Let me take a crazy guess. 2.5.
I was going to say 69.
That's so un-Bruce.
Hey, you know, it's a Harley Quinn callback from the movie.
Hey,
I try to plug something from the movie in here.
It's not too bad. I like that, Bruce, and a curveball from you as well. So
yeah.
We really appreciate that. So if you haven't,
and then Sean was supposed to say, "There's no way you had enough time to watch it," and then Adam was going to whisper in his ear, and then he was going to go, "Oh, okay, I get it."
It's a joke from the movie.
I could have given you guys a heads up, I guess, to make that work.
No, we don't rehearse this show. We only do it in one take. There's never anything else. This is the show. For good or for bad, this is it.
The amount of times where we have said, Adam, you're going to have to cut that out. And nothing. Nope.
Never.
Everything's in.
You know what's funny is because there's a lot of time that passes by, and eventually that does go out of my brain. It's like, that was a perfect show, wasn't it? I don't think we screwed up one thing. That was just good to go. Then you listen back later, and you're like, oh, right. Well, that already went out to all the people,
Sean,
so I'm out of luck.
The clue is it's posted within 20 minutes of when we finish recording.
Not tonight, it won't be. But for those of you that like to get those recordings a little bit early after we do, you know how you do that? You head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get the pre-show, post-show Dinger Zone. And, of course, you get the show quicker than everybody else does. Everyone else has got to wait till Monday, not you. You usually get it on Sunday night. Why? Because you're awesome. And one of those awesome people has joined our ranks today. Sean, will you do the honors for us since you're finally back?
Of course, I'd be glad to. So earlier today, I was quick to learn that Jeff Floyd is now our newest Patreon member. And what does Jeff Floyd? Which level is he?
Jeff is coming in at the ever so popular, what I like to call the backbone of the Patreons. People, it's the $5 a month, folks. So $5 a month coming in from Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, thank you very much, Jeff. And Jeff, as has been my want to do lately, what I try to figure out is I try to find out a little bit about the name Jeff Floyd. And so this week what I did was I went online, I Googled the name Jeff Floyd, and as I'm sure you already are aware of, there is a musician whose name is Jeff Floyd, and he comes up in the first, like 20 searches that you do on Google. However, what you might not know, Jeff Floyd, is that the musician known as Jeff Floyd comes from Jacksonville, Florida. And as kind of a retaliation, the musician Jeff Floyd being, the most popular Google search, let's take a little bit away from that musician Jeff Floyd. And from this point forward, your HMP nickname is going to be Jacksonville Jeff, because It's way, way cooler if you're not from Jacksonville, but you're known as Jacksonville Jeff, especially since Jeff Floyd is actually from Jacksonville, and now you're the Jacksonville Jeff and not him. That is a superior situation in my head. So congratulations, Jacksonville Jeff. You are now part of the ranks of the HMP. Thank you.
And if you play it up right, that's like a 5-minute Marx Brothers bit or something.
I'm Jacksonville Jeff Floyd from Maysville, Kentucky. Like I can't wait to hear that.
Exactly.
Keep going. So if you would like to vote on what we watch, get the pre-show, post-show Dinger Zone. This week's Dinger Zone, we're actually going to be talking about the future of DC movies and everything. So check that out. And of course, get yourself a great old nickname. Head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Join at a rate, however big or small. Make it something that means something to you. We really appreciate all of that kind of good stuff. Well, let's get into it, boys. This week, you can either go out to the theater or stay home and check it out, but we are going to take a look at the trailer for The Suicide Squad.
Robert Dubois. He's in prison for putting Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet.
I'm not joining your Suicide Squad.
We'll see.
My court date is coming up.
And Miss Waller said maybe you could help me out.
You're flexing in my door!
Everyone stand down.
Miss Waller, I don't...
Stand down!
I wouldn't take such extreme measures if this mission went more important than you could possibly imagine. Are you in or out? Good. Let's meet your team.
It's okay, I'm not okay.
Each member is chosen for his or her own completely unique set of abilities.
I need to feel the raindrops on my head, on my head.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Had to go number 2.
Good to know.
Is this thing a dog?
A dog? What kind of dog do you think it is, mate?
I'm gonna go with Afghan Hound.
Oh my god, is it a werewolf?
Yo, they turned me into a werewolf! Yo, let me out!
Hey, he's not a werewolf, okay? He's a weasel. He's harmless. I mean, he's not harmless. He's killed 27 children, but, you know.
Your mission is to destroy every trace of something known only as Project Starfish. Any questions?
Starfish is a slang term for a butthole. Think there's any connection?
No.
No. All right. Let's get it. This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
I'm a superhero!
Alrighty, that was the trailer for The Suicide Squad. You know what time it is, everybody.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, what do you got this week?
I'd say by now you know that if there's a connection to Watchmen, we're going to get a Watchmen connection. So for The Suicide Squad, we're going to start by talking a little bit about the comedian. Also known as Edward Blake, the comedian has been portrayed on screen by Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a guy who seems strangely ageless. And if you've read Watchmen, you know the story starts with the comedian's murder. Now, originally, the idea that would become Watchmen started with Alan Moore imagining Archie Comics superhero The Shield washing up on shore, dead, of course. But for whatever reason, the opportunity to revolutionize comic storytelling never came up with the publishers of Archie. But since Moore was working with DC and the two were still in one another's good graces, a different opportunity came up. DC acquired the rights to the Charlton Comics pantheon of heroes. Instead of the Shield, Moore decided that the perfect murder to throw his story into motion would be Peacemaker. Now, of course, DC had Moore switch his Charlton characters to new ones, and Peacemaker became the comedian. But why would he choose to kill Peacemaker? Well, let's start at the beginning. Peacemaker first appeared in a comic called Fightin' Five in 1966, exactly one issue before that comic was canceled. Coincidence? Maybe. Peacemaker's origin story is either ridiculously stupid or fascinatingly genius, depending on whether or not Joe Gill and Pat Boyette were self-aware of what they were doing. In a Peter Verhoeven sort of way, you know? So the deal with Peacemaker is that he's a pacifist diplomat so committed to peace that he will use violence to get it. Sounds crazy, right? Well, it gets crazier. Like literally mental health issues pop up in Peacemaker. It turns out he has such a dichotomous approach to life because he was deeply traumatized as a child. Because his father just happened to be a Nazi death camp commandant. So, you know, that kind of thing takes a toll on a kid. You know how Polka Dot Man sees his mother everywhere in this film? Well, in the comics, that's kind of how things go between Peacemaker and his father. He believes his father's spirit haunts him continually and criticizes his every move. And as Peacemaker's quest for peace grows deadlier, he begins to believe that the ghosts of the people he killed, or who were killed in his vicinity even, are collected inside his helmet and can offer him advice. And prior to this year, I don't believe Peacemaker had ever been a member of the Suicide Squad, but he had been a member of Checkmate, another division of Task Force X overseen by Amanda the Wall Waller. So maybe there's a little delusional ghost chatter going on inside of that beacon of freedom on John Cena's head. I guess we'll have to wait for the series to find out. So now, over to you, Adam.
Well, if that comic book connection wasn't enough for you, let me just tell everybody on the Suicide Squad, because let me tell you, this movie's got everything. First and foremost, grab your pen and paper, because we've got a non-linear plot, and you're probably going to need to take some notes. But we've got needle drops galore. Pete Davidson dies. We got racquetball murder. Viola Davis going on a scene-eating rampage. A child-killing weasel man. Pete Davidson dies. More helicopter shots in a Michael Bay film. We got head slicing, body chopping, head exploding, thorax ripping, neck snapping, throat slicing, head chewing, stabbing galore. Did I mention Pete Davidson dies? We got video game logic, the theme from Baby Button Eyes. TDK, a character that only Bruce could love. Idris Elba gives a performance far better than the movie that he's in. You haven't seen rat love like this since Willard. The Court of Maltese makes its return to the big screen since 1989. Mom complexes, John Cena and his tidy whities, a senseless murder of an entire village, polka dots, a Lloyd Kaufman cameo, starfish, kaiju, fake mustache, Milton, and did I mention that Pete Davidson gets shot in the face? This movie has everything.
Man, we should have given a spoiler warning before you told all that Pete Davidson stuff.
Doesn't matter. Trust me, that sells more tickets.
It's brutal.
It's what we call wish fulfillment, and I want to personally thank James Gunn in a letter that I'm going to write with my new calligraphy classes I'm taking. So thank you, James Gunn.
You're going back to the community college.
Yeah, you gotta get it somewhere.
Very good.
So James Gunn got this opportunity because Marvel decided to have a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction not too awful long ago and go, he's got a lot of old tweets that we don't like, that they're jokes that are inappropriate. So we're gonna kick him to the curb. And DC goes, excuse me, I will pick up your trash. Thank you very much. And snap James Gunn up to do the sequel / reboot / who knows what this is to David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
Many of us will remember it as the first movie.
Yeah, some will just count that first film altogether. And but then again, I'm seeing a lot of very interesting things online. First and foremost, this bad boy is in the upper 90 percentile, or at least last time I was looking for it, and as far as critics go. But it is not making a splash at the box office at all. Our theater was dead as a doornail this weekend.
Well, why? I mean, again, it's one of those things. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is not wrong. Like if you have the option of going to the movie theater or seeing it at your house, like you're probably going to see it at your house. I mean,
I'll give you some perspective. I went to see this twice and it was $70 a pop with family and refreshments. So I spent $140 on a movie I could have seen at home. So, yeah, I can understand not everybody's in a position to do that.
Yeah, and I spend most of my days at a movie theater, so eventually when it's time to go home, I want to go home, so I did. And I watched this. I did watch it twice as well, both on HBO. I mean, and not for nothing.
Whoa, stop the presses here, because I thought of the three of us, the one who would definitely, because Portress, you're the one who's always arguing to keep the theater industry going strong.
Yes.
I mean, you're in the theater industry.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked that, and you, come on, man, spill the beans. You could have watched it for free in the theater too.
Oh, I certainly could have. I also would. I like sleep.
You're the one always telling me how the theater experience doesn't compare to me watching it on my Apple Watch in a car while I'm driving to work.
This much is true, and you would be correct. And honestly, there is a part of me that would have preferred to see this on the big screen. Time-wise and everything, I'm not gonna, because I was closing and stuff, I'm not sleeping over at the theater. I just can't do that. It's just not as fun as you would think it would be.
It's kind of creepy.
But no, it was ultimately just like, as far as like convenience and everything, the home just happened to be the way that it hit as well, enough for me this week. So, but no, I agree. Pardon me, my goodness.
Whoa.
Yeah. We don't edit the show. Remember when I said that? That's proof of it. But no, listen. When I first watched the movie, I'll kind of put it out on Front Street here. I was not a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of James Gunn, as we mentioned. I think probably last week or somewhere in there that Guardians of the Galaxy was the first movie in H&P to get 3 Dick Graysons, and we're huge fans of James Gunn over here. And ultimately, this movie for me just felt like a James Gunn first draft. It's not bad.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You seriously felt that way?
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a gem underneath here that with some more polish and everything could be really great. And I liked it more the second time that I watched it because I didn't have. Go ahead.
We're showing our cards early here.
Yeah.
Okay, because like I love Guardians of the Galaxy. When I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought maybe this is my favorite Marvel movie yet, at the time it came out. And then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I thought maybe I like that a little bit more. And then I saw this, and I thought this is what he's actually capable of if he doesn't have the muzzle put on him. So, wow, we had you think this felt like a first draft. I feel like this is what his final form is when he doesn't have to worry about collateral damage.
Interesting. Sean?
Okay, so here's my 2 bits. I think that this is a very good movie. There's nothing underneath this movie. Mm-hmm. The thing about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is there is so much heart and there's so much being said underneath the movie itself, where this does not have any of that. This is exactly like when the movie says we need to go over there, it's because they need to go over there. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what, there's a million movies like that, and that's fine. I think that it's good. I think it is exactly what I thought it would be. If I in my head picture James Gunn, writer, director, Suicide Squad, I kind of sort of know what that's going to look like. And that's this movie. And that's not to say that's bad. It's a good movie. This is the first DC movie I can think of in a long time where the villain at the end is the most fun part of the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
That is not the case for, I got to say, almost every single DC movie made.
You didn't like Remus Lupin pretending to be the God of War?
No, I didn't.
It's so bad that I can't even think of who the final villain really is in a lot of the DC movies. That's the only one I could come up with for sure.
Is it a big kind of brown and gray monster looking thing with
right.
eyes that glow?
Think Yuck Monster, CGI Yuck Monster.
Oh, he's all wet looking.
And so, and speaking of wet, this entire movie is just wet and gross. But I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what it should be, quite honestly. But even from the get-go, this movie is gross and it's nasty, and it is going to be a lot of people's favorite DC movie. It just is.
Now, when we're talking about something like the David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., I expect to be the one who has to convince you guys why it's brilliant. I was not expecting that would be my role this week. Well, I really wasn't, because I am in love with this movie.
Why is it brilliant, and why do you love it?
Okay, so I guess I'll just back up and say that I don't know James Gunn beyond Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you guys know much of his work beyond Guardians of the Galaxy? So maybe it lands differently with you. Like maybe if you'd already seen this other stuff he's done, this might not really open your eyes. But
I'm going to guess
James Gunn movie.
I'm going to guess that Adam's probably seen more James Gunn than I have, but I've seen Super and I've seen the movie with the worms.
Yeah, Slither. Yeah, I've seen all of his major directorial work in theaters and stuff since Slither, because Slither was just like this small indie horror thing, and they had like Nathan Fillion and a whole bunch of other people, and you're like, all right, let's check this out. I was like, oh my god, this is insane. And you realize he was also the guy who ended up writing the Dawn of the Dead remake that Zack Snyder did, the best thing that Zack Snyder's ever done. So I was just like, okay, I'm on board with whatever this guy's doing, and I've been kind of a fan ever since. But yeah.
And when I'm watching this movie too, I mean, the it's obvious that DC was in a spot where they need a winner. They've had they've had some nice bronze medals, but they need a gold, So they needed a gold, and they're like, look, we're going to win big or lose big. We're handing the keys over to you. You have basically any character that's not already cast other than, Suicide Squad members that have already been cast, and do what you want. And it's so easy when you can do what you want in a shared universe and it doesn't match up. This is just, it blends so smoothly. It brings back some edge. It introduces the most comedy that's been done well into the DC universe Well, since I don't know when. I mean, honestly, I don't know if the DC universe has ever had they've had attempts at comedy.
I was going to say Shazam was good,
but Shazam was good, but I would watch this movie 5 times for every time I watch Shazam. Like, this movie's definitely rewatchable for me. Somebody has taken characters and actors and gotten what I think is the best you can get out of those characters and actors. Like, this is far and away, I think, the best Harley Quinn we've had. It's third time really was the charm there. And, you know, I'm sure that's a collaborative effort between Robbie and Gunn. That's the one character in this movie where the person portrayed has some creative control over it, I believe.
Probably.
I have never, ever really been, you know, there's times when I thought he wasn't awful, but I've never seen somebody, I guess, get the best out of John Cena. And James Gunn gets the best out of John Cena. Like, he is a director, and I don't know if he does it by being really cool or if he's more like Kubrick. Like, I have no idea about the behind the scenes, or if he just knows how to, like, get so much that you can throw out the garbage and get the gold. But this is the most I've ever enjoyed John Cena in any context. Joel Kinnaman. We saw Joel Kinnaman look as uninteresting as it gets. You know, it's like a left slipper that's the wrong size in your bathroom. You got no use for it. But I actually found him to have some character here.
That was one of the things that I was impressed about, was that they kind of fleshed that character out a little bit. And I feel like Joel Kinnaman's starting to getting into his own a little bit. I mean, we're starting to,
as soon as I start liking him, he gets killed off. Spoiler.
Yeah. But I think as an actor, though, I think he might be starting to kind of figure out exactly kind of who he is, because he's not like your typical leading man, but he's not like necessarily like a big heavy or anything like that. So he's got an odd spot that he's in, and he's starting to kind of figure it out, I think.
And, you know, it's the point now. I want to see James Gunn direct Vin Diesel in something, because I bet you he could get a performance I enjoy out of Vin Diesel. So
my God, it's something I really don't want to see.
I am praising James Gunn to that level. I think he has made some stars. You know, I've seen Bautista and other stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't get Drax when Bautista's in other stuff. Like, I have a certain admiration. Like, James Gunn has an ability that I can't even put my finger on to name it something. I just know I will never have it. Like I just can't believe how good this guy. And like, there's stuff where, you know, the director of photography makes choices, but I feel like somehow he has some influence on that, because this looks better than other stuff. I don't know if he always uses his guy. At least to me, it looks better. You know, I'm telling you from my perspective. I went to the movies, and I got to tell you, in the theater for this one where I live, this brought out the old school comic book fan that we haven't really seen much in the last 10 years. You know, especially the Marvel movies, you get the guys that wear the Captain America shirt at the gym while they're bench pressing 300 pounds and stuff like that. This was definitely like the guy that owns Android's Dungeon and Baseball Card Shop all around me. The people that talk way too loud as soon as it's over, usually saying hated it, and they loved it. So maybe I'm one of those guys. I don't know, but this just, I loved this, you know, the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, he could never, ever do this with Marvel. Like, they're not going to let him make an R-rated movie no matter what.
All right, here's where Adam comes in and Raiden's on the parade. I wish it was that good. And that's why I think that movie that you're describing, Bruce, exists in a future where this had 9 more months to bake. Because
this had plenty of time to bake.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I really do feel like this feels like a first, maybe second draft for his work. It's fine. I think that James Gunn, who's somebody who has, at least over at Marvel, had a decent amount of control over like trailers and stuff like that. I didn't watch a lot of trailers for this movie by any stretch of the imagination, but if you watch one trailer, you've seen the movie, because they show you everything in it. And I think it was just, that was in all, especially the humor wise, 90% of the humor is in the trailers. And it's really just like things that would have been super, super great to have for the first time, you know, in the movie itself, and not be, you know, a staple of the trailers. Would have been nice. And it feels like James Gunn probably didn't have a hand in that as he does with a lot of the stuff I know he does over at Marvel. Because that to me, just like none of it didn't. I thought we were going to get something really great from John Cena as this character. I mean, for heaven's sake, based upon this movie, we're giving him an HBO series of which they've already pretty much filmed, if my understanding is correct, or come close to it. So, like, this was supposed to be, oh my God, they had such a great time with this character on set and everything here. They were just like, we can make something out of this, and then they do. And then to see the character that we get on screen, and I'm like, why do I want to see more of this character? What does he really bring to the table other than the 3 funny lines that we heard also in the trailer? I fail to see where he's doing anything that made me impressed with John Cena, and I like John Cena.
So I don't like John Cena, and I like him here. So Sean, play marriage counselor here. Tell us why I like John Cena so much in this role, and Adam doesn't.
You two need to be divorced.
Yeah.
So here's part one, right? So have you seen Blockers, Bruce?
No.
Because Blockers is John Cena's best performance.
Yeah, it really is. He's super great in that movie.
And he is funnier than he is in this movie, and he's funny in this movie. But I think that the reason why because you seem to be vexed on what it is James Gunn does. What James Gunn is basically brilliant at is that he either picks the right people for the right role, or he writes specifically to that person. And so when you have someone like the actor whose name I don't know, but he's in Dark Knight and he's in Ant-Man.
Dave DeSmalchin.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. That guy, there is no better polka dot man casting than that guy.
Mm-mm.
Like, you're not going to find someone who's going to play that role better than him. And that is very specifically, you can tell James Gunn either cast him or wrote for him, because you literally will not find someone better.
They worked together in the past, so yeah, I can almost guarantee it was written for him.
And so then on top of that, when you have someone like Cena and you have someone like James Gunn writing it, what James Gunn is able to do is he's either watching scenes or has seen the scenes that make John Cena work. Like, he's not watching The Marine. He's watching Blockers. He's watching the movie, that Trainwreck. He's watching that movie as well.
Daddy's Home Too.
Oh, is he in that?
Yeah.
Does he work in that movie?
He kind of does.
Yeah, he does.
He does. It's not. I mean, lower tier, but it's not.
It's hard to have the range that Mark Wahlberg has, but he does.
Sure. Anytime you make him a teacher or a smart person, and the guy immediately, you can tell, hates the character he's playing. That's always great.
Sad. I'm so very sad.
So great. This guy's a wimp. I hate it. So that, I mean, that's the James Gunn magic, quite honestly. And also, he's terrific at pacing. And the part that I want to ask you, Adam, is how you feel about the flourishes of the Suicide Squad. Do you like them or do you dislike them?
How so?
The fact that chapters are named.
Okay, that's what I was thinking you were saying. I just wanted to clarify. I think they're okay. I tend to like
works better than the Snyder Cut for me.
Maybe. No, gosh, no. Okay, so it's better than the Snyder Cut. I'll give you that one.
When you say "gosh, no," I thought you were going to argue in favor of Snyder here.
No. Just what, white on black? Yeah, great job there, Snyder.
Artsy.
Yeah. Go for hour 6.
Don't hurt yourself over there. At least they had a couple of PAs right now and some sand. You know what I'm saying? No, I can guarantee that was CG. I thought that was good. I thought the movie it looked good overall. I thought it was an interesting choice to put it in not James Gunn's more traditional widescreen aspect ratio.
We're not talking about any of that right now. We're just talking about the flourishes of James Gunn that is so clearly a James Gunn choice.
Yeah, well, that's certainly up there. But I think one of the flourishes that I don't know that I particularly cared for was really just the nonlinear storyline. I mean, parts of it, and again, this is what makes me think that it feels like kind of that first draft thing where they're like, well, I don't really know how to, make the right interplay here. Well, we'll just have these flashbacks. It's a story conceit. That'll work. That'll seem like it's fancy and that we're doing something. It felt like more of a crutch to me to try to get the writing to all cohere together as opposed to just being something that felt more artistic.
I wonder how much of that is when you learn, from the first Suicide Squad movie, when you learn like, oh, we're going to have the people who cut the trailers just recut the movie. I wonder how much of that is James Gunn like, good luck recutting this one, suckers. I wonder how much is that.
And that's another question that I have here. Is my guess is that he's got enough clout at that point when even when Marvel dumps him, they sure enough want to get in that James Gunn camp over there. So my guess is they probably let him do whatever he really wanted to do, and it's just like just have at it and go. And to me, I think that may have been. Because, again, I really think that they wanted to get this done quick before, he could get started on a new Guardians movie or anything. So I think that they were just like, okay, we'll get it through. We'll get it done as fast as we can. And it's good, but it doesn't feel like a story that's kind of been sitting in his back pocket for a while that had like a really good narrative and everything that it wanted to tell. I think he had like a really great situational thing that had like, some really nice broad strokes for different just character moments as well as the big fight at the end, which I think is really great. But overall, it just kind of felt empty for me, despite the fact that we had all of these characters that were here for so long.
I mean, the reason why he's saying that, Bruce, is because there's like this movie. There's no underlying thing in this movie.
I think there is.
What is it?
There is. Okay, so there are moments. There are definitely moments, but we do have this relationship between Ratcatcher and I want to call him Bloodshot, but it's Bloodsport because we don't have Vin Diesel yet.
Right. Yes.
But there's the dynamic there, and then we see her thoughts with her father. I never thought a tear would enter the corner of my eye seeing Taika Waititi hold a rat, but it does.
Now,
there's a lot done with Harley here. Once again, we're circling back around a character that I kind of like, and I'm glad she finally got her due here. And there's the big fight scene when she's escaping from being held prisoner.
Right.
And there's so much there where they're going to rescue her. And the first thing I thought was, man, you're dropping the ball, James Gunn. You don't rescue Harley. Like, Harley's the one person you don't rescue in this whole movie. And of course, they show up and she's already escaped. But then even when she starts fighting and like the flowers are flying up out of her backside, she stabs people. The blood turns into flowers. And we've got that whole flourish there. And my, good dad, bad dad, you decide yourself. But my 10-year-old was with me watching this. And he says, Dad, why are they doing that? And I was like, because she doesn't have to sacrifice her femininity to be strong, And there are moments there that, I mean, you look at how David Ayers handled Harley. You look at how Birds of Prey handled Harley. And I think this is the right Harley. Like, you don't have to be totally frumpy to not be sexualized. You know what I mean? Like, this is a beautiful way of dealing with her. He gets the Suicide Squad. They're called that because more people die than come home. And you don't usually get that. He can take a absolute throwaway character like Polka Dot Man and give me something that I find super interesting when I'm watching. And, he knows when to borrow or when to steal because he has his own Peter from Deadpool 2 here with Milton. But I am really connecting with this movie like I haven't connected with any post-Nolan DC movie.
There was one really good line in there that I did like, and like you said, it was from Ratcatcher 2, which I think is probably the best line in the film. And I wish this was kind of like incorporated somehow a little bit more. But she said, "If I die because I gambled on love, it would be a worthy death."
Yeah, that's a pretty good line.
I thought that was a really great line, and I wish it would have resonated more throughout the film.
And something that I've kind of been more attuned to in the last couple of months, but there's this style of storytelling in a lot of the anime I've been watching where you can never celebrate a victory because every victory is somebody else's defeat. And like at the end, when Starro finally dies, he says, you know what? I was happy floating and looking at the stars. I didn't ask to be here. Why did you do this to me? Mm-hmm. And like, as soon as you start to pump your fist, you get a bummer motion, that comes over you. And I really personally like that. I like the way that we see King Shark is such a lonely, lonely person here. even though he's locked up and treated like a villain. I mean, maybe he's a shark. Sharks do what sharks do, but he's thrown in prison. I mean, there's something about this. Starro kidnapped, brought to Earth, turned into a weapon, then murdered. And we're calling the other guys the heroes. I mean, to me, there is something really going on there. And you look at, the America we've been through in the last 20 months, and you kind of see to me, I see some parallels there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the King Shark stuff was actually really, really great. One that kind of surprised me and everything. And watching it the second time, I was thinking about it from kind of a different angle. Because we see King Shark, as he's portrayed here, as kind of being, of lesser intelligence and everything. But I'm like, well, really, he's a super intelligent shark. Like, if you gave Shark a lot of brains and stuff and had him be able to talk and whatnot, this would be more what they would be like, as opposed to like a super smart human or anything.
And then
and
also,
him just trying to connect to those things that he sees, and he doesn't quite understand them, and they don't have the same relationship that he does, because he's obviously got more intelligence and stuff than they do. So I was surprised at how much that, even despite the character not even speaking that much, having that much of an emotional connection. I think a lot of the sound choices were important in that as well.
And you know what? This is the only movie this year that's going to have that guy from the Basketball Diaries song in the opening.
Very true. I do have to say that I do love, this is my favorite Harley Quinn. I think that you're right about that, Bruce. I especially love the scene where she shoots the president and says, I told myself that the next time that I date someone, if I start seeing red flags, I'm out. And you talking about murdering children, that sets off a couple of flags.
Yeah. No, what she says is, I would do the healthy thing and murder him.
And you're like, what?
Right. Yeah.
And murder him? Yeah, that's just got to get it out of my system.
I don't know if it's in the cards or not, but maybe they pull a Birds of Prey with James Gunn like they pulled the Suicide Squad.
How do you mean?
I think what he's basically saying is that because
you remake the movie.
To go from worst to first with James Gunn. Fair. And it's not a bad idea. Although,
and I don't even mean worst to first, but it's not really a sequel. You know what I mean? Like, it's got some common threads, but it's not really a sequel. You're just redoing it. And I wouldn't mind seeing that, even though they kind of do need a female director for that.
I have to say that the best switcheroo I've seen in quite a while that I did not see coming was them having the crew that on purpose was a distraction and they were all going to be murdered. Like, I did not see that coming at all.
I loved it too. And they had the total CW costumes charging up on the beach. I didn't quite see that happening either, but then when it started happening, it made sense.
Of course.
You put them in the CW costumes, you put them all over the posters. You sort of mess a little bit with people's expectations. But I mean, we all knew Pete Davidson was going to be the first to die. Like, the moment they announced he was in the cast.
Well, enough fingers crossed, I'm sure. A lot of prayers crossing the Lord's desk that day.
I like the idea of letting him work with characters that you can really jimmy with their origin story, and you're not going to have a lot of people like barking about it. I like that he just Weasel's a totally new character. He just threw Weasel in there because you got to give your brother work.
I was about to say my brother's got to do something on this picture.
Calendar Man wasn't a big enough check, so he had to do something else. I love the cast too. Like, you see Flula Borg is in this movie. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see that. But he dies, but he dies with purpose. He gives Harley that javelin. Yeah. You see Michael Rooker. It's just fun. It's fun, and it's also nice seeing James Gunn's got his crew. Mm-hmm. And if he goes and makes a movie for Valiant, it's going to have some of these same people in it.
Well, hopefully it's going to be Archer Armstrong if he's going to.
He would be beautiful at that.
Yeah.
Like, I think his real niche should be like the only thing I want to see him do is make movies with actual comic book characters, but ones I don't care about. Like I didn't care about Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I do. I mean, I did care about the Suicide Squad, but not this lineup beyond Harley Quinn, King Shark. That's about it. And he's got a real talent that if you give him characters that have leeway, that you're not too beholden to a Bible somewhere, he can really do fun stuff with them. I mean, who thought that Arm Fall Off Boy would show up in a rated R movie? You know, a member of the Legion of Superheroes becomes a member of the Suicide Squad, changes name to TDK. Worst kept secret about this movie was that Nathan Fillion was going to be Arm Fall Off Boy. It's always great to cast a 50-year-old as someone who has boy in their name.
I'm going to bring something up to you, Bruce, right now.
Yeah.
So you guys know I'm a massive Taika Waititi fan. Like, I'll watch anything that he directs or writes, because I just I like the way that man makes a movie. I would suggest to you that you should hunt down James Gunn's filmography, because clearly this man is your guy, and I think that you will enjoy your time, because you know his writing, like, you can see the James Gunn-ness, that like his earlier work you're not going to enjoy as much as you enjoyed the Suicide Squad, but you will like it, and it will feel like it will be a soothing balm to you, because it does the thing that you seem to really enjoy about James Gunn's work, which is that, one, you get meathead guy who has some comedic timing, and that's in all of his work. And so I think that you should check out his other work.
I maybe I'll put Slither on my to watch list.
And trust me, Slither's,
you love that movie.
That's a Bruce and the Family movie right there. Yeah. Like that's not for most normal families, but Bruce is not a normal family.
You make it sound like the Addams Family.
You are a little Addams Family-esque when it comes to that. If I were to describe people the horror movies I know your children have watched, it'd be like, that's a little Addams Family-esque, perhaps.
And I guess I hope that. You know, I don't think it's a question. I think that this is one time where even the most idiotic executives, like the ones at AT&T when it comes to entertainment, are going to be able to see there's more to this movie than the box office, and he's going to get to make some more movies if he wants to for the DC movie universe. And I, you know, the root of the term exploitation film, it's really more about exploiting the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you find an area that other filmmakers aren't willing to go to, and you go to that area, and you can get away with doing less there. And that's why exploitation cinema has its reputation. But I think when it comes to superheroes, DC should lean into exploiting the fact that Disney won't let Marvel go R-rated, because the Joker, the R-rated film, was that the only R-rated film to make $1 billion? I don't know. This R-rated film, for me at least, and I think there's other people like me, we love this.
It's gotta be
this
Deadpool,
is something, right? Deadpool's rated R, and it's great. And
it made $1 billion too, did it?
Probably. I mean, if there's a race for the best superhero R-rated film, it's going to be between Deadpool and Joker in terms of box office. But like now, Deadpool's going to be PG-13, you know, and it's like they've got this area where it's like, you know, they you fight dirty when you got to fight dirty. Like they're wearing you out with the straight up boxing, so you got to punch below the belt. Make some R-rated movies, have your own little segment of the cinema, and have good fun and good returns. And quit making $250 million PG-13 stinkers.
Well, poor Deadpool only made $782 million worldwide.
Oh man, I feel so bad for them.
About time you go back to
that.
Oddly enough, the second one made the exact same amount. That's bizarre.
I think that's Hollywood accounting.
I think it might be too. 100, like they both like have almost exact same box office receipts.
Ryan Reynolds got to wear a special crown if it went over 800 million.
Now, Bruce, how is Polka Dot Man different from in the comics? What does he do in the comics versus this?
He is so different, so different. So in the comics, to start with, he just gets jealous because there are these flamboyant villains and heroes in Gotham City. So he wants to be the most flamboyant. And what's more flamboyant than polka dots? So he makes himself Polka Dot Man. And then he has gadgets like the polka dots that are on his suit. You pull them off, you throw them, and they turn into something. So he like pulls off a polka dot, like famously he has one he rides on. You know, it's just like but he has zero backstory. You know, this whole tragic backstory and the interdimensional virus. It's almost like it's poking fun of how the New 52 redefined Cyborg. Like I see James Gunn twisting the lines tell a lot when I watch this movie. Apparently you guys don't, but to me, that's as important an underlying story as father-son relationships. Like to me, when you have this meta knowledge of comics, which might just be accidental, but that goes a long way with me. The fact he gave Polka Dot Man Peacemaker's backstory in a way is kind of cool to me. But yeah, in the comics, he's just a guy who wants to get attention, so he wears polka dots and throws them at people.
But I do.
He's right up there with Crazy Quilt, Condiment King, Kite Man.
But I think you're absolutely right in as much as, like, you know, they even make fun of the fact that it's like, wait a minute, this guy has the exact same backstory as I do. It's like, well, yeah, all these comics, all the backstories are the same. The dad was abusive or some such nonsense.
I mean, they have about 13, 14 character types, and you just keep redressing them or you mix and mash or whatever. But yeah, how many vigilantes? I mean, Savant's backstory is the same. Yeah, Deathstroke's backstory is the same. Yeah. Deadshot's backstories. I mean, they got all these guys. The world's deadliest assassin is like 700 people in DC.
They have a convention every year.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he like he turns up the volume on Polka Dot Man. He turns down the volume on Bloodsport because Bloodsport can actually manifest weapons from his body, but here he has them built into his suit. Polka Dot Man relies on his suit, but here he has it built into his body. I mean, it's interesting how he just twists everybody's tail a little bit. And we're seeing him move traits from one character to the other because it works better in this story than being faithful to the character that was in 7 issues in the comics that nobody loves other than me.
I love seeing him like add stuff onto his gun and just keep adding and adding and adding.
Yes.
And the gun just keeps getting
that's
bigger.
How
it's like,
Nerf
that's
guns
awesome.
work.
That's how Nerf guns and the world of Rob Liefeld works.
Yes.
Man. And, you know, we haven't even talked about what I would consider to be the best part of this movie, which is Polka Dot Man's mom.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Polka Dot Man's mom. I don't care who you are. Those scenes are amazing.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, if he needs a funny looking guy to be Peacemaker's father to pull that gag off again, I'd be willing to do it because you don't really have to act that much. You just have to have a funny looking face.
Just kind of just amoeba around and everything. No, it was great. I love that was how that was shown to us and everything. It's just like, no, every single person I look like, even when he's having fun, it's surrounding by all these people and dancing. You still go to his head, and it's still every, you know, lady and all this stuff. They're all still mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
And the way we get introduced to it, where is your mother? She's everywhere.
I mean, and it's
that.
so bad. Like, I mean, when you think about it, it's so dark because the woman who basically sold him into like mutant slavery in a way was just like, oh my God, why you're so, how
no
horrible.
One's not going to give us that. Snyder's not going to give us that.
Snyder would make it.
James Wan's not going to give us that.
Maybe. I'm trying to, but yeah. Listen, I don't want to make it seem like, you know, I really hated this movie because I didn't. I felt what is this like?
What did you think? I got to ask you though, before we get too far off the beaten path. What did you think of Idris Elba's Cajun accent as Dubois from Louisiana?
Was that just? I thought that was just his voice.
No way.
The character is a Cajun character, Bloodsport, but it's funny because it's like, you know, that time when pick anywhere that what's his name, the original James Bond, Sean Connery, anywhere he's supposed to be from, you're getting Sean Connery. The funny thing is Idris Elba probably could have pulled off a Cajun accent
for sure.
Yeah,
but you know what? He's a charming guy. Just let him be him, and it adds a little mystery to it.
He really is so good. Just that scene between him and his daughter at the jail, and like he is. That is one of those things where I tell people, I'm like, I'm sure this girl's good, but boy, I'm sure she got a heck of a boost that day being across from that man, because that is liable to up your games. Because she was so good, he was so good. That was acting wise, that was my favorite part of the movie.
I've got one complaint about Storm Reed's performance. And it's because when she said my court date is coming up and I'm in the movie theater, I heard Jai Courtney's coming up. And I thought, wait, he's already dead. Is he going to come back from the dead? So I was waiting for Jai Courtney to show back up. And the second time around, I understood what she said.
So, as far as you're concerned, that's her problem, not yours.
Yes.
That's what I call the portress approach.
Hey,
I see.
It's a valuable one.
Everyone needs to change but me.
That's how it works the best. Well, speaking of changing, we don't like too much awful change around here because every single episode we have to ask ourselves how this movie or television show relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone. I don't know how we're going to pull it off this week, but we'll see.
Oh, boy. Thanks, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Salutations, Mr. Stallone. It's Sweet Shanzi again. You know, the guy you have no idea exists. This week's Stallone connection might be my favorite connection in the history of the show because I had to do literally nothing to find it. No research was done. I didn't have to find out which stuntman you work with on the show Las Vegas this week. I didn't have to look through a single Teamsters filmography, and it is glorious. You voiced the character of King Shark in the Suicide Squad, and hot damn, I'm already done with the Stallone connection this week. Or am I?
I'll let that out.
Cough for effect. Cough for effect. What I'm about to speak to this week is half-heard rumors, and honestly, I don't know how much of this is true, but the story is Steve Agee originally did the voice of King Shark, and I'm sure he did a terrific job. But when James Gunn made a phone call and you agreed to voice the character, Steve Agee was out and you were in. And honestly, who can blame the man? If you can get Stallone, you use Stallone. Yeah. It's sort of like someone saying, you know who we need for this role? We need a Robert Downey Jr. type. But no one bothers to make a phone call to Robert Downey Jr. because why would Robert Downey Jr. agree to be in your dumb movie? Robert Downey Jr. is the biggest star in the world. So instead, you settle and you end up making your movie with the closest Robert Downey Jr. type available. And that's how you end up with Jamie Kennedy. The movie is ruined. And worst of all, you have to spend the next 6 months of your life with Jamie Kennedy. Anyway, this is my roundabout way of saying this is how I think Son of the Mask was made. And here we are again, Mr. Stallone. That's how you're connected to this second attempt at a 4-quadrant movie with the name Suicide in the title. You're the voice of the shark guy. I hope to hear from you soon. This is the 366th time we've tried this bit. I'll do better next week. Thank you. Your friend, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
So, man, you got me thinking about something. A James Gunn directed, Robert Downey Jr. starring Batman and the Outsiders movie. I think that'd be great.
Oh, some Geoforce in there.
Good Rated R. Yeah.
Before we get to our final grade here and everything, wait, I already did that bit. So our final grade here is rather a Robin rating system is what I meant to say. Robin rating system. Check that out over at our subreddit. Links are in the show
Look, we're
notes.
all kicking the rust off,
isn't it? Though, Bruce, where does the Suicide Squad fall in the Robin rating system for you?
I need the listeners to back me up on this because I have a feeling we're going to have more folks on Team Bruce than Team Not Bruce on this one, which is rare when we review.
I think that's the newest shirt we need to make. Team Not Bruce.
Because it's rare that I think have the populist opinion, but I think they're going to stand behind me on this. And I'm going to say that when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I think I said it was my favorite Marvel movie yet. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and I liked it better. I see this movie and I like it better than either of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is going to be top of the heap. Dick Grayson for me. This is the best DC movie post Nolan, and it's the best superhero movie I've seen since Endgame. So that's a big deal. And I don't know, man, like if you're talking about a standalone movie, I don't know if Endgame holds up to this as a standalone because that's like half a movie, half a really, really long movie, a 6-hour movie.
Yeah. James Gunn, send that check to Bruce Leslie, care of. No, that's good. That's good. I love it. Sean, where are you lying in this bad boy?
For me, it is a very high Damian Wayne. I like the movie. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's the best superhero movie I've seen in 2 years. I think it's good though. And so it's a Damian Wayne for me. To me, this is a James Gunn. Like this is probably his like third or fourth best movie.
For me, yeah, I'm going high Damien as well. I was kind of bordering on. I was bordering on high Damien, low Tim, but I'm gonna go high Damien mostly. I think that this movie could easily lose 20 to 30 minutes and might be an even better movie than it already is. And the tough part is that some of the stuff that you would end up cutting would be kind of character stuff. So some of that would fall by the wayside, but like none of it really goes anywhere for the most part. And so I don't know that, like, even though we would be missing out on some of that story, I don't know that it would impact the story so much that it would, counteract
best
making
live
it more
action
fun.
Starro you're ever going to get, Adam.
Well, this much is definitely true. Oh, by the way, I do want to ask you this, Bruce, because we got a lot of eye stuff in this thing. What's your take on all the eye stuff?
Starfish don't have eyes.
Well, okay, all right. Listen, smarty pants. But as far as like diving through an eyeball and everything, how much of this are we calling a bunch of nonsense?
Well, once again, it's an alien starfish. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. You know what? I hate you scientists and all of your rules and stuff saying anything's possible in fiction. Fair enough. That is it, everybody. We'll talk about what we're going to be reviewing next week in just a moment. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I'd love people to go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Bruce Leslie, doing a very, very thorough watch through of Attack on Titan where you can never celebrate a victory. And I'm revisiting some Demon Slayer, getting ready for season 2 to hopefully hit in the late fall, early winter. So all kinds of cool anime stuff over there on YouTube. And you can go to Anime.io, the podcast to do with my friend Chris about anime.
Good deal. Sean, what else?
You can reach us at, you can find us on 30 Questions. Man, it's been a while since I've done this. 30 Questions, where if you go into your podcatcher and just put 30Q, our shows will come up. There's all kinds of flavors.
Yeah, try one today. So check out all of our 30 Questions shows and all that kind of good stuff. Next week, everybody, as it stands right now, it's on HBO. But as we've seen in the past, that could change as soon as the wind blows. But next week, we're going to be covering Gotham by Gaslight, currently available on HBO and probably some other places and stuff as well. So we'll be covering a little bit of Batman action next week. So that'll do it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking Gotham by Gaslight. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Butane in my veins and a mouth to cut the chunky with the plastic eyeballs. Spray paint the vegetables, dog food skulls with the beefcake pantyhose. Kill the headlights and put it in neutral. Stock car flaming with the loser and the cruise control. Babies in Reno with the vitamin D. Got a couple of couches, sleep on the love seat. Someone came saying I'm insane to complain about a shotgun wedding and a stain on my shirt. Don't believe everything that you breathe. You get a parking violation and a maggot on your sleeve. So shave your face with some mace in the dark. Saving all your food stamps and burning down the trailer park. Yo, cut it. So because one's got a weasel and other's got a flag. One's on the pole, shove the other in the bag with the rerun shows and the cocaine nose job. The daytime crap of the folk singer slub. He hung himself with a guitar string, a slab of turkey neck, and it's hanging from a pigeon wing. But get right if you can't relate. Trade the cash for the beat, for the body, for the hate. And my time is a piece of wax falling on a termite. It's choking on the splinters. So